NASA has long had a history of doing interesting spacecraft events on July 4th. And in recognition of July 4th of this year, I would like to recognize the top 6 achievements that NASA has made on July 4th. Starting with number 6, the Viking 1 lander. Now, the Viking 1 lander did not actually land on July 4th, which is why this is this far down on the list. However, it was initially planned for that day in recognition of the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. However, it ended up that they had not verified the landing site would be safe, and so they had to find another landing site, and they actually landed on July 20th in recognition of the Apollo 11 landing. This was the first Mars lander to successfully touch down and operate for any length of time, and this was similar to the Mars Opportunity and Curiosity or Spirit rovers. They were only supposed to last 90 days. However, this actually lasted for over 4 years, and it had the longest record for a spacecraft stay on Mars until it was surpassed by Opportunity many years later. Number 5, STS121 Launch. Discovery launched to the International Space Station on July 4, 2006. This was the first spacecraft to launch after the Columbia disaster in 2003, and as a result, it was a trailblazer to make sure that all of the new safety precautions that had been planned by the Commission worked. And it went off flawlessly and gave our country a little bit of a fireworks show on its way to the International Space Station. Number 4, STS4 Landing. STS4 was launched by Columbia. This is Columbia Landing. And it was the first time that the space shuttle landed from orbit on a concrete runway. Prior to that, they had either landed on Edwards Air Force Base, which is the primary site for these kinds of landings, or STS3 landed in White Sands, New Mexico, which is the only time that it landed there. They were landed on dry lake runways as opposed to the concrete runways to give them a little bit of extra time just in case they were having any kind of problem stopping. And so these were located in the desert, which had a good, firm, hard ground that they were able to land even from space, that they had been able to test to make sure that it could support the weight quite accurately. Number 4, Juno orbital insertion. On July 4th, 2016, the Juno probe entered orbit around the planet Jupiter to study its magnetosphere, among other things. Now, we know that that was the first of a couple of planned maneuvers. It, however, was stuck in its insertion orbit throughout its lifetime due to malfunctioning thrusters. But it's been able to help us understand much better the interior of the largest planet in our solar system and get a better grasp of what it is that makes this planet so unique and have a better understanding of our solar system. Number 4, Pathfinder Lander. Now, Mars Pathfinder was actually succeeded on landing on July 4th, 1997, and it was the first of a series of landers and the first time that we ever launched a rover onto the red planet. It carried the Sojourner rover. It was able, similar to the Viking probes, to get a better grasp of one specific area, but the rover allowed it to go rove around and detect things, and most of the future missions, including Curiosity, Spirit, and Opportunity that have gone to Mars, have in fact been rovers. There have been a couple of static landers as well, including the Phoenix lander and the upcoming InSight mission, that were to test very specific things that they didn't actually need to move around. However, this has been one of the great engineering challenges and successes, and ever since this has landed, we have had a very robust Mars exploration program. And the biggest one, of course, number 1, has to be the Deep Impact. And yes, the use of the word impact is actually twice, contrary to my spell-checking engine. Deep Impact was a spacecraft that was intended to try to determine what comets were made out of. And in order to do that, it actually sent a little impactor into a comet. And by so doing, it was able to determine what this comet was made out of. And so on July 4th, it hit the comet, and we were able to get a much better understanding of what these comets were made out of by carefully observing it, first from the mothership and also from the ground. And this mothership has continued to go through and do many interesting scientific observations even beyond this initial deep impact mission. Thank you very much for joining me. Let me know if you guys have anything differently, if you would sort these in some kind of a different order. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you much for joining me, and until next time, keep on tracking and have a happy Independence Day if you live in the U.S. Take care.